This outbound strategy can be really effective in getting you a handful of meetings with a handful of key perfect prospects. I've been running a business for 3 years and I've been documenting everything for the past year. Outbound is not one of my key acquisition strategies, nor have I found kind of great scaling success with it in the past. But when I moved to London, I applied this strategy to score my first couple of meetings with some people around here. I took my gas off the pedal with the outbound stuff because I was focused on fulfillment and some client work. But now I'm getting back into that and I'm doing a push specifically to get a handful of London clients, and I'm applying this. And the way it works is it's really simple. The first thing is, though, before you start outreaching to anybody, the first thing you have to get right is the lead list. This outbound strategy is something that I use to outreach to like 50 to 100 people, 150, very small sample size. I'm talking 50, 100 people. This is the kind of volume that you will do manually. This is not automated, and that's on purpose. That's by design. And I think this is a really good strategy for when you're starting out. And you need to test until something works. Oftentimes I will say violence is the answer, so you just have to do more. But when you're starting out, I think you have to be very specific about who you're reaching out to. Don't just spray and pray. Go to them with a problem. So you have to message with a problem-based messaging. So go to them and basically say the kind of thing that you are helping them trying to figure out, and keep that lead list very specific to your ideal client profile. At the heart of the strategies is essentially personalization. So what I mean by that is not personalization at scale, it's personalization without scale. It's an unscalable strategy that you do to score a couple of meetings when you need them. It comes off the back of basically doing in-depth research per person. So for every person, I like LinkedIn as the platform to do outreach on, not email. LinkedIn because it's way more social and generally, I think, less crowded. People have less crowded inboxes on LinkedIn than they do on email. On email, they're getting loads of cold emails and things like that. And what you want to do is basically identify the list of people you want to reach. I use Sales Navigator, whatever. You can manually search LinkedIn as well, that's fine. But you want to filter for people who've posted in the last 30 days. Sales Navigator has a built-in feature for this, which is really useful. If you want to, I think you can get a 30-day free trial of it, and so you don't have to pay for it. But you can also just go and manually check people's profiles. I think that's also worth doing to make sure everybody's actually a good prospect for you. The reason you want to make sure they've posted in the last 30 days is for two reasons. Firstly, because you're going to comment and react to those posts. That's going to show you in their notifications. And the second thing is it means that they actually use LinkedIn and they would actually check the message, right? Whereas, if you message some random person, maybe they haven't opened LinkedIn in 5 months. A lot of people have a profile but use it just as a CV and they won't check it regularly. The other thing that I also tend to look for is people who've recently changed jobs. And the reason I do that is because many times when somebody's been promoted to a new position or recently hired, they're being hired because that company is in need of something. For example, if they're hiring a marketing manager, promoting a marketing manager, it's because they need to develop their marketing. And so that's going to be a focus and a key problem for the company where they're wanting to put more resources. And that person in the new position is also going to want to be creating change. Maybe they don't want to shake things up completely, but usually they've been hired to do a job and they need to change something in that organization in order to complete their job. They are also usually, I think, more open to trying new things and ideas. It depends on the person though. Those are the two key filters that I've used recently as well. And then for every single person, you want to send a personalized video. And so you're going to film a video for every single person. You're going to talk about them first. So what I mean by that is don't say, hey, I'm so-and-so, I do this, we help you do this, blah, blah, blah. That is talking about yourself. You say, hey, you've got a really interesting profile. You do XYZ and you want to emphasize the benefit that you might bring to them or how you might help them in their jobs. Try to make it as much as possible about them, not about you. So in that video, keep it to under a minute, talk mostly about them, how you can help them with a specific problem. You have to talk about a specific problem. And this is something that I used to get really wrong. When I started, I run a software agency. And when I started, I was basically just selling a skill set. I was going to people and saying, hey, I have developers and I run this agency. It was A, all about me, and B, it didn't tell people what problem I solved for them. And I had to get more specific about the type of stuff that we do or that we might solve when I reach out to a particular person. When I got to London, I sent these outreach messages, but I still wasn't super clear on exactly what kind of person I wanted to reach out to and what kind of problem they solved. And so, to be honest, my message was really just, hey, I admire your work and I think you're really interesting and I'd love to speak to you. And I scored a handful of meetings by doing that. But what I had to do was basically I stalked every single person through social media, essentially. I tried to give them as many personal comments and make the video as much about them as possible. And this just stands out because everybody else is automating messages and trying to send short emails, whatever, but it's useless because it's just noise. Nobody sends videos. Nobody makes them properly personalized. And those two things are going to differentiate you from everybody else who's making the noise because they're going to be like, oh, this person made a video. And actually one of the things I did is I put, hey, Audrey, or hey, John, or whatever the name is. And then I put immediately, I made you a video. That's the first line, because nobody makes people videos. And so immediately that captures their attention. And then you might explain a little more, but you want to keep it real short and make them a video. Make the list small, because making all these videos is going to be annoying. And then the answer is volume. So when you're doing it personal and you have a good list of prospects and you know the problem that you're helping them solve, then just do it over and over again. And you can do this 500 times if you want. In this situation, I don't think automation makes sense. I think this is one of the greatest plays to try and do to get your early customers, because you need to do the unscalable thing to start with. You need to start somewhere. This is a pretty good solution to start with. And I haven't scaled it, and maybe that's a thing to figure out later, but at least right now, like when you need a couple meetings and you need to get the meetings with the right people, I think this strategy works really, really well. So don't try and automate it or whatever, just do it yourself one by one. If you're starting out, you don't have a system yet, you're still figuring that out. And so you need to be in the weeds, going through the motions, going through the repetitions until you get better. And eventually you're going to start to see patterns, and then that's when you can build a system around it. But don't try and build a system around something you've never done before. I think that's one of my big learnings, is that I tried to automate stuff at the start and I had no idea what I was doing. And it was a big waste of time, big waste of money as well, because I hired people to do it. I hired an agency, useless. But it's not because outbound doesn't work, it's because you have to know who you're talking to and what problem you're helping them solve, why they should even give you any time of day. And if you get clear about those things, I think outbound can work and you can scale it, absolutely. It's not something I've done, at least not yet, but I definitely probably will do over the course of this year. But when you're starting out, you need a couple meetings, send 150, 300, even more personalized video messages, and send them through LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is also really, really good for this stuff, because you get less noise than you do on email, because they have more spam control. But you have to put in the effort to actually personalize things and make it about them, make it worth their time. This is just like what I'm doing right now, basically, because we're focused on grabbing some more clients here in London. And this is what I'm running with for the time being, because I don't need it to be scalable. I need a couple of really good case studies here. And so I'm not worried about trying to make some massive scaling thing yet. I just need the first few steps to be taken to get some new clients here. And that's the main thing that I'm after right now. This is just my strategy and my experience, but I think it's useful for people who are starting out as well, rather than hiring some agency to run like 10,000 cold emails a month, which actually generate nothing because they're terrible emails. They're not prospecting the right people, and the copy is absolutely awful, and it just sounds like every single other spammy email that I receive on a daily basis, and I ignore it immediately. Anyway, feel free to comment any questions below. I record every day and I reply to as many comments as possible.